report gives you a powerful and flexible way to compile a list of animals to be seen by the vet. You can define a number of component rule reports of animals matching the criteria that you select, mark them as vet visit reports, and then these are aggregated into a single report for the vet. So let's have a look at how to do this. If we go to reports, the first thing we do is come across to fertility rule reports. So we're going to define, or you may have already in your account, a number of rule reports which will pick out animals with certain criteria. So let's just set up a few examples here. So let's have a look. The main two variables that you will use will be the action list and the reproductive or milking status. You can also define the lactation, really to include all animals, or looking at cows or heifers separately. So if we take one example here, so cows that have been served more than 30 days, so PD at 30 days, so we would set in the action list, we would go to served or served more than, and we would enter 30 in here. And then on the reproductive status, we would select cows of the status served. If we want to look at all animals, we can say all, leave it as set to all, or we can say more than heifer, which will basically exclude the heifers. So we'll just set that. You can now test the report by running it. And once you've run it, we can save it and give it a meaningful name. So we'll call this PD30. Save it, and that is now accessible to us to rerun at any time, either on its own or, as we'll later see, how to compile it into the vet visit report. So back on the fertility rule report screen, I'll just define a couple more reports to compile into our vet visit. So I'm going to go back to the action list, and I'm going to say has calved more than, and I'll put in 80 days, and we basically want to pull out cows that are at or gone past the service deadline. So if we come down to reproductive status again, and we'll say animals not served, and obviously we just want to deal with cows here, so we'll say lactation more than heifer. And now if we run the report, that will give us the list of animals, and again we will save this as, let's call it service 80, and press the button to save it. Okay, so we'll just do one more. So if I go back to the fertility rule report screen, and we'll set another one here. So we'll just say reproductive status, scroll down to the bottom and say last heat more than 30 days. So just setting this option would bring up cows that have had one reference heat, or have had a heat event recorded, and then they've gone quiet, or maybe anestrus, and they've not had another heat or service for more than 30 days. So we'll just click the button to generate the report. It's not actually found any cows on this occasion, but that's not a problem. So we'll just give it a name, no heat 30, and press the button to save it. Okay, so now to build these selection of these reports into the vet visit, we go to reports, come across to the left hand column and click on quick reports. So now at the top here, previously saved reports, these are all the individual fertility rule reports that we've saved. So they're all in the drop down list here. So we can now pick the ones that we want and tell FarmWizard to add these into the vet visit report. So the way we do that is to pick first report that we want. So we'll say no heat for 30 days, and we'll press the add to vet visit. And what that's done, it's put a V suffix against that report. So where you see the V suffix, that means that this particular report will be compiled into the vet visit. So we'll just set a couple more. So we'll say service 80, and we'll say PD 30. So you don't have to, obviously you don't have to use all of these saved rule reports for the vet visit, but simply by clicking on the required ones in turn and pressing this button, you'll see that it's just the ones that have the V suffix that will be compiled into the vet visit report. You can similarly remove a report from the vet visit by clicking on it in the list and then pressing the button again to remove it, and you'll see now that that suffix, the V suffix, has been removed against this particular report. But we'll just select it again and add it back in. And now to run the vet visit, come down to other reports section and press on vet visit. And what this does, it aggregates, runs all of those individual rule reports and aggregates them into this single report. So one particular brand number will only ever have one row on the report, but if that particular cow has been included in more than one of the component rule reports, they will be shown here with the name of the report. So if, for example, brand number 4 had been included more than once, you would see a list here on its record, on its row, of all those report names where it's been included. And if you give the report a meaningful name, then obviously when you generate this for the vet, you can see exactly the reasons why an animal is on the vet visit list. Okay, so there's a few other things you can do on this report. You can select certain animals by ticking the check boxes here on the right hand side, and when you generate the report for printing, and it's basically generated and downloaded as a PDF, but any animals that you've checked off here won't be printed on the report. Just show you one other useful thing that you can do with the vet visit report. For logistical reasons, you might need to generate the vet visit report today, but the vet is not actually coming until next week. So what you can do is set a date into the future. So we'll say Tuesday of next week, and then when we press rerun report, it will cast that forward into the future. So all the date parameters used for picking animals out in all the component rule reports will be set as at that date. So the cow that's due for PD at 30 days, it will be as at this particular date that you've selected. So you can then rerun the report to refresh it. And once you're happy, you can then press the create PDF, and that will generate it and download it. So you should see the file appear at the bottom of your web browser screen. It'll download to your default downloads folder for the particular browser that you're using. If you right click on it and then left click show in folder, it goes to our user downloads folder, and there is the vet visit report, where you can obviously open it up to print, or you can attach it to an email